Hello, my name is Tom Rice, Product Manager for Fiori, and I would like to welcome you to the Open SAP course, SAP Fiori Overview, Design, Develop and Deploy. This course will give you a basic understanding of all you need to know about Fiori. The first week introduces you to all the various aspects. The next 3 weeks give you more insights on design, development and deployment, i.e. getting Fiori up and running. The goal of this week is to give you a high-level overview of all the various aspects of Fiori so that you get the big picture of how everything fits together. In other words, after a brief introduction, we'll have a look at the Fiori design. Next, we'll get a high-level architecture overview, introducing the various technologies and tools available and how they fit together. Unit 4 gives an overview of these tools, and the week ends with an overview of how to get Fiori up and running. So, let's get started. Good user experience is more than just nice looks. You can actually put a real business benefit behind it, calculate in dollars or euro, for example. For example, gain in productivity and data quality. Also, you can, of course, save training costs. And especially if you're building your own apps, you can decrease the number of change requests you're getting. So if you're an IT department building apps for your business users, by having a great experience, the users are going to want to change less. They're also going to make fewer errors. And of course, if you have better data quality, you can really save a lot of money, because if you have to start changing the data later in the process, it can be very expensive. And you can actually calculate, or estimate at least, the business benefits in dollars or euro for these kind of aspects. Of course, there's also the human value. That's of course what most people think of when they think of user experience. So increasing user satisfaction, of course also increasing customer loyalty if customers are using them, and of course also increasing solution adoption. So if you're at an IT department providing solutions to your business users, of course you want the business users to actually use the system rather than having separate spreadsheets and other solutions going on in parallel. And of course if the system is really easy to use, you're going to get more adoption. And that of course overall will help you as an IT department, for example, strengthen your relationship with the business units in your company. So of course you have the increased user satisfaction. Of course nowadays people expect great user experience from using mobile apps or web sites these days. So it's a kind of expectation. You have to provide a good experience, but you can also in fact put a monetary value on the benefits of having a good user experience. Now, user experience, actually getting it right, is pretty difficult. There are a lot of things you can do wrong, and user experience can be painful in many different ways. I'm sure most of you have come across many of these over the years using different applications. You can't find what you're looking for, or information is somehow spread all over the place, or you need to scroll or find it, go to different subscreens. Data entry is perhaps not so intuitive. The relevant actions you need to do are somehow hidden, or you need too many clicks to get stuff done. You don't have very good value help, so what are the valid values you could enter there? Or of course, error messages are unhelpful. Of course, it's not just design aspects. For example, if the system is simply slow or unresponsive, i.e. has bad performance, that's going to be very frustrating. Of course, that's something for the technology, the development teams to take care of. And another aspect is, of course, unhelpful data visualization. We have, of course, today far more possibilities for visualizing data. And let me just show you an example. So those of you who are maybe using systems back in the 80s might recognize this kind of a display of a table. Looks very basic these days, very old. And of course, if someone's asking you which channel had most feedback, you have to really scan through the table to find that kind of an answer. In this case, it's AIN, in fact. So of course, these days we have far more opportunities. With Fiori, for example, we've got semantic colors. So if you want to know how many units are unplanned, it's the 2 red ones. That's very easy to see. We've also introduced, for example, navigation links as well, so much richer experience. But you can go even beyond that, and what we call embedded analytics. You can in fact also embed charts, for example, to help you visualize the data. So which carrier had the lowest revenue, that's really easy to see. It's the top one with the bar, the shortest bar, or which year had the highest costs. That's also easy to see, or which month did healthcare do better than the other. So with these charts, you can actually visualize the data for people doing their normal day-to-day work. So that's why we call it embedded analytics. It's not for people who are kind of doing analytics all the time, but really for people with their day-to-day work, they can also interpret the data more easily using these kind of advanced concepts of having embedded analytics, for example. So, data visualization is important. So how to go about actually designing a good app? Well, the approach that is absolutely essential is design thinking. And you might have heard of design thinking, but design thinking is basically very simple from the idea. Of course, it can be quite demanding to do it right. But basically, the main principle is that you have to, or use it to understand your end users' needs. So often enough, people start looking at end users and come up immediately with a solution proposal. That's something often that engineers often do. But you should start off by really listening and observing and understanding what the end users want to do, what they need to do. Maybe they're even doing things without even talking about it. So understand your end users' needs. Then, of course, once you have an idea of what they need, you can start thinking about how to solve it. And here, of course, you say fail fast, fail early. So basically, rather than actually programming out a really sleek or good-looking prototype, just sketch it out on paper, show it to the users, get the feedback very, very quickly. Is that something that could potentially fit or not? It probably gets feedback. Some aspects might be good, some not so good. So sketch it out again, try again, keep iterating. And then as you converge gradually onto the right solution, then of course you can start investing more in actual real clickable prototypes, for example. And then of course actually go to the third part, start the development. But of course only start the development once you really are sure that user satisfaction has been confirmed. So once you really know that the user is behind what you're doing, then you actually start developing. And of course that's a great way of making sure the users are happy, and of course you use your time and investment most effectively. So that's how to design a good app. But what if you have to do hundreds of apps? Well, basically, of course, users will have a whole load of expectations if they have to use tens, hundreds of apps. So they want, of course, consistency. So both the visual consistency, that it all looks the same kind of colors and font and so on, but also interaction consistency. So you know, when you're using a table, sorting a table, it's always done the same way. Of course, they want to be able to access the apps easily. So if you want to find the apps you want to use and access them very easily, and of course also have navigation between the apps. So if you're looking at a sales order, you want to maybe navigate to the products or to the customers and so on. So that's what users would expect if you've got many, many apps to use. And of course, also users would expect to be able to access common functions everywhere. So, you know, for example, search or notifications should always be accessible the same way. And so that's why, if you want to scale to provide a good user experience for hundreds of apps, you need a design system. So basically, the design system allows the user experience to scale across many apps and many products consistently. And also, of course, not just the apps and products, but also for various technologies, so desktop, for example, and also mobile. So that's the key, or the cornerstone, of course, is having a design system. Now, of course, once you get to development, obviously you want to have some means also of scaling your development if you're building hundreds of apps. So you need software frameworks and libraries, of course. And if you want to show the users hundreds of apps, you need some kind of user experience integration runtime, like a central entry point, and also provide navigation services so that you can navigate between the apps. And then finally, of course, if you're actually implementing these hundreds of apps for business, you've got whole loads, maybe hundreds of thousands of users as well. So you have to work about or look at authorizations and who is allowed to see what. So of course, we need also tooling to get SAP Fiori up and running efficiently. And of course, SAP provides all of this. So with Fiori, we have a design system. We have, of course, development tools, frameworks, and libraries, and of course, also tools to help you get it up and running. So SAP Fiori is the user experience for SAP, for all of our products. And it really is the sweet spot where we bring in the business value, which of course has always been the focus and strength of SAP, supporting your business processes, with, of course, modern technology, also something we've always been doing. But with Fiori now, the last 10 years or so, really been focusing on the people as well, the end user, user-centered design, and bringing all three together really gives you this sweet spot of great user experience that helps your business and helps people work effectively. So we have the user-centered design approach, we have design-driven development. So first of all, we have to make sure we've looked at or interviewed end users, done the design, and then do the development. And we have the one user experience across all of the SAP solutions. So the Fiori design system, basically we're now actually evolved to Fiori 3. It's a new target design for all of our products. So it's an evolution of the SAP Fiori design language to support the intelligent suite consistently. So it's user-centric, so Fiori always is role-based. So basically, depending on the roles you have in the company, you see only the apps relevant for you. Personalized as well, so you can personalize the layout and so on, and also simplify it. So these are always simple apps that are very easy to use. We've also, as part of the design system, defined the look, so the visual design, the theme, but also things like dimensions, breakpoints. So if a screen gets smaller, where do things start moving around? Also the feel, so the motion design, if we have animations, interactivity, etc., as part of the design system, as are controls and floor plans. So basically you have common things like tables or lists, for example, or if you're looking at an object, how does that look like, or components, a date picker, these kind of things, buttons. These are also part of the design system, and also the design system specifies that we have certain common functions that should be available everywhere, like for example search. So I've already mentioned it that we started a few years ago with Fiori. So back in 2013, we actually came up with the very first Fiori apps for sort of casual user self-service use cases. So not so much for desktop users, maybe people wanting to post a leave request or managers doing approvals. Then in 2016, we introduced the next major step with Fiori 2.0, starting with more powerful patterns also for desktop users. And since then, we've extended with a partnership we started with Apple 3 or 4 years ago with iOS, and then also now last year started with Android to support native use cases. So we don't just have Fiori as a web UI with HTML5, but we can also have dedicated use cases where people are on the road all the time and they need a tool to do their work all the time, maybe even offline. Then of course you want to use native apps. So we have also Fiori for iOS, Fiori for Android. And we've also started introducing conversational user experience with Copilot. And I'm convinced actually this is going to be one of the next big things in user experience, is actually having a natural language interaction with the system, as well as, of course, the visual aspects. And so with Fiori 3, we've brought all these innovations together into one design concept, and also extended that, so focusing very much on consistency, also on integration, so integrating the various products that we have, and of course also intelligence. So surfacing machine intelligence, machine learning, and helping the user, or basically having the machine guide the user, help the user get their work done more effectively. So that's basically, in a short nutshell, if you like, an overview of the user experience with Fiori. In this unit, we've seen how important a good user experience is, and how SAP Fiori is the design system for providing a great user experience for the intelligent enterprise. In the next unit, my colleague Tilman Swinker will give you an overview of the SAP Fiori design. Thank you and goodbye.